Hey everybody, welcome to the Infrastructors. It's the premier podcast for engaging conversation with influential thought leaders in AI, tech, government policy, and smart city innovations. Today's guest, the Director of Business Development at SoundHound, Darin Clark. Darin Clark, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Darin, listen, I remember when SoundHound first hit the market, right? It was literally my favorite app. It let me know the names of songs back then, like if I was listening to Manilow, right? Looks like we made it. I mean, it would let me know all the info. Just so great and everything's changed since then. But what was the initial idea behind the start of the company back then?
Yeah, it's a great question. And interestingly, a lot of people, recognize us from the SoundHound app, the music recognition app. And as you said, you can hold it up when a song's playing, it'll tell you a song name, artist name, even get into lyrics and things like that. But we actually our founders started the company with a vision of voice AI. And, at the time, this was 2005, three guys in the PhD program at Stanford. And one of the things they decided was that people were going to talk to the things around them, but they were going to have not just command and control types of interactions, but more dialogue-based, conversational interactions to get information, to be entertained, to be productive. So we really started with that vision in mind. As we move forward, we launched the SoundHound app. It gave us a number of different things that allowed us to get some revenue from banner ads and affiliate licensing with iTunes and that type of thing. But it also allowed us to stay kind of in stealth mode with our core voice ambitions longer as we built all the technology ourselves.
A layman like me and, my mother who's in her 80s, everybody knows, the most traditional approaches, converting speech to text, right? And then converting the text to meaning. When you look at how far the smart voice technology has come, SoundHound is doing things a lot differently. How does your platform recognize speech now as opposed to in the past? Has it changed much?
So our solution actually has done this from the beginning, but it's very different than the traditional approach to speech recognition. So a lot of what our founders did when they founded the company was they decided that we needed to own all the technology ourselves. We couldn't license pieces from different technology providers and kind of systems integrate it together in order for it to work. We needed to build it all ourselves. And in doing that, we developed a new approach to speech recognition. So it's basically, as you said, the traditional approach is audio comes in and the ASR engine, the automatic speech recognition, converts that audio to text. That text is then passed to some type of natural language understanding, NLU engine, to try and derive the meaning. The issues you have there are you have ones of latency. You have two processes that have to run serially. But more critically, you have issues of accuracy. Any errors that happen in the ASR component are then propagated to the NLU side. You get misrecognitions, things don't work. What we did was we actually combined those two processes to work simultaneously. So they actually feed off of each other. So it's much more akin to the way humans understand. As I'm talking, you're not waiting till I get to the end of a sentence and then trying to understand everything that I just said in the last sentence. You're constantly referring back to what I've just said, thinking about what might be coming later, and understanding holistically everything I've said. So even if maybe you miss a word here or there, you get the overall meaning because it's taking the entire context of what I've said into consideration. And that's really how we developed our solution, and it's how we do things differently than anybody else on the market today.
The AI technologies used by SoundHound, right, to perform not only speech recognition, but I always hear about this deep language understanding. Yeah. For folks like me, again, layman, when it comes to this kind of understanding, what is deep language understanding?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's actually another differentiation between our approach and some of our competitors or other companies on the market, where when it comes to the natural language side of things, the traditional solutions on the market, they typically are keyword based. So, I can give an example. If you say something like, find Asian restaurants in San Francisco,
right?
Almost all of the good products on the market will have no problem with that. So local search for a restaurant with a qualifier of Asian and a location of San Francisco. pretty easy to extract the right pieces and keywords to put it into your NLU engine and provide a good result. The issue is if you go even slightly more complex for any of the other solutions on the market, they're going to break. So if you just said, find Asian restaurants excluding Chinese in San Francisco, maybe I had Chinese last night, so I want it again. So in all of the other solutions, you're going to get a list of Chinese restaurants. It just looks at it's Chinese, thinks it's another keyword that's an indicator of what I'm looking for. Instead, what we do is we look holistically at the query and we understand exclusions, double negatives, multiple contextual aspects to the query. So I could take that same query and I could go even, almost infinitely more complex and find Asian restaurants excluding Chinese and Japanese that are in San Francisco, open after 5 p.m., have Wi-Fi and outdoor seating, and at least 4 stars on Yelp. You can say all of those things and get a list of responses that give you the exact, within the exact parameters of what you've requested. So it's that holistic approach to NLU that we do differently than the other solutions on the market.
Yeah, it was wild because I was watching this demo where the instructor was giving the voice assistant all these different deep domains. Tell me the weather in Berlin and Australia and what's the temperature in London right now. And it literally within 4 seconds, the female voice kicked back exactly what that question was.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, and you can do advanced things like contextual follow-up. So, in the solution, you could say, what's the weather in Tokyo? What about Los Angeles? What's the distance between those two cities? And you're moving around to different domains, different knowledge bases, but the system understands the context of what you've asked before and is able to respond appropriately with the information you're looking for.
And I know most of us are used to with our Echo devices or whatever we have in our homes, right? The Alexas, that wake word that wakes up our system, right? Hey Siri, hey Alexa, and that immediately wakes them up. But there are things now where you could basically customize, right, your own wake word for special companies, or it doesn't have to be just that simple hey Alexa or Siri that that the common folk are used to.
That's exactly right. And, we think that there's a lot of value in that for the brands. There's lots of companies that spend a lot of time building a lot of brand equity associated with their brand name, their product suite, their solutions, their services, whatever it may be. So being able to customize that wake word as the entry point into a voice experience is really critical for the brands to maintain that ownership, again, to create that customized experience. And you can combine this capability with text-to-speech where the system can read out in a customized voice any responses. And you really can own that branded voice experience from the first iteration, the first interaction that the customer has with your brand, all the way through all the responses that are coming back to the customer. And it's just critical, when I'm talking to a specific type of device, if I'm in my car, I don't want to say Alexa in my car. I want to say, hey, Mercedes, take me to the Starbucks on First and Main. Or if I'm using my Pandora on my smartphone, I don't want to say, hey, Siri, tell Pandora to play my Jack Johnson playlist. If I have Pandora open, I should be able to just say, hey, Pandora, play Jack Johnson, and it'll play it. And so that ability to customize that wake word and really make that the entry point into the voice experience is really critical and something that we see a ton of value in, as do a number of our customers as well.
Yeah, Jack Johnson, not a bad playlist to have, by the way. Listen, while you're on the topic of the automobiles, I know, and I've been reading a lot about, the smart voices in the cars. And maybe getting together with a lot of QSRs, the quick service restaurants or the fast food restaurants, where, in due time, you're going to be able to pull up and your car's going to ask you, hey, you want the same burger and fries you got last time? How far along are we when it comes to that technology?
It's available today. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Well, I guess I'll say that a slightly different way. So, one of the things that we're doing in the quick service restaurant space, we're enabling voice ordering at the drive-thru.
Voice ordering, right?
Up to the drive-thru, the system says, "What can I get you today?" And I say, "I want a combo number one with a Diet Coke, etc."
Right.
At the same time, there are technologies like license plate recognition that can be associated in most cases with a loyalty program. So,
Okay.
I sign up for my loyalty program, I put in my license plate. Then the next time I pull up to the drive-through, it says, "Hey, Darin, would you like one of your last two orders?" And I can say yes. And if I have, my credit card on file as part of that loyalty program, it can say, "Great, you're ordered, you're paid. Just drive up and grab your food, and you're on your way." So that speed to interaction is really, really important. Not to mention, just kind of the excitement of that loyalty program, giving me something of benefit where I can get through the experience much more quickly than I normally would. If I order the same thing every time I go through the drive-through,
Yeah.
or if I order one of a few things, because sometimes I have my kids in the car, sometimes I don't, then it would be great to just be able to order not just combo number one, but Darin's combo number one, which is specific to the things that I've ordered in the past, basically.
It's like watching a futuristic movie, right? When we were kids. I think In-N-Out Burger and Chick-fil-A could use those technologies right now, make those lines a little shorter.
Exactly.
So the AI drive-through technology, I mean, you said it's rolled out in a limited capacity right now. Once it's in full bloom, do you feel like once one chain gets it, it's like a cattle business, right? Once one chain gets it, all the others will follow and jump right on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we actually started down this path. So our drive-through experience today is in partnership with MasterCard. We have a great relationship with MasterCard. They have a digital innovations team that does a lot of work with these quick service restaurants. And this is, really separate from MasterCard as a payment processing company or a credit card company. But they have a great team that we work with, and we've implemented this with White Castle specifically. We also announced Sonic as part of the original press release we did with them. But the interesting thing, we've been working with them for about 3 years on these solutions. Got delayed by COVID, like a lot of things in some ways. But when we started, there was discussion about, how is this going to impact the in-restaurant staff? Is this going to be replacing a person in the restaurant, in the kitchen? Is that a good thing? Interestingly, since then, we've completely flipped the script where now what we're trying to do is augment the labor shortage, because most of these restaurants, they can't even hire people to come work in the restaurant in enough capacity. So all of these restaurants are looking for additional technological ways that they can reduce the need for staff, because they just can't get people into the stores. So it's really been an interesting process for us as we looked at the value that we're able to provide with this overall solution. And now we're really seeing that it's able to impact stores positively, because they just can't get the staff to come work in the kitchen in a lot of cases.
It's wild. And listen, you talk about this, a great synergistic combo between, Rekor, vehicle recognition and SoundHound voice recognition. Sounds like it makes for a good pairing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a perfect complement to each other. As I said, we do the voice AI, and if I'm a brand new customer, I've never been to this White Castle or a White Castle at all, I can pull up and I can use my voice to order. I don't have to talk to a person inside. I can, order all the different combos. I can make changes. I can customize each of the items. I can add cheese to this and take onions away from that. And, oh, whoops, can I change that large Diet Coke to a medium chocolate shake? All of those things that our advanced voice capabilities can do with the Rekor license plate recognition and vehicle recognition. Again, I can create that experience of the system will talk to me specifically if I'm a loyalty member. I can reorder using voice. I can say, yep, pay with my credit card on file, and be on my way in a matter of minutes, even at a crowded drive-through. And there's just a ton of value for the end consumer to something that works that quickly and is that efficient and convenient for the user.
It's just, again, as I listen to you speak, it just sounds like futuristic movies we used to watch, right? I need you to calm the fears of my 85-year-old mother. Are voice assistants in our home listening to the conversations, even if we don't use the wake word?
No, absolutely not. That's not how they work. They only wake up once they hear the wake word, and there's no audio being sent anywhere until that wake word is heard. No need to fear that Big Brother is always listening or anything along those lines.
Darin, guys like me who have a Northeast regional dialect, does SoundHound recognize regional dialects? Because I know the banks use a lot of the voice recognition now. Instead of your password, when you call them, they'll say your voice has already been recognized by the bank so we can continue on.
There's the ability of the solution just kind of out of the box to recognize regional accents, particularly in a large country like the U.S. It's critical that the solution works well from the get-go. And part of the advantage of our solution and that we are working in a very broad variety of verticals, from automotive to TVs to smart speakers to drive-through restaurants to mobile applications. We get a lot of data that allows us to feel very confident that we can recognize, wherever the person is in the U.S., whatever regional accent they have, it will be able to recognize that. The other part of your question was more about like speaker identification. So could it know from my voice that it's me versus, my wife driving my car or my son talking to my TV or something like that? And that's definitely something that is possible today. You can do that in a couple of different ways. It can be done with the wake word. So if I were to say, hey, Mercedes, it would know it was me versus if my wife, and then maybe it could set, my radio preferences, my work preferences, things along those lines. You could also do it just with the natural conversation. So not even associated with the wake word. If I'm in my car, I press the steering wheel button instead of saying a wake word for some reason. And I say, navigate to the Starbucks that I normally go to or something along those lines. It would know that that's me versus, again, my wife or somebody else that's driving my car. So that ability to do that is available today as well. And there's a few different kind of technology ways to accomplish that, but it's something that, again, giving that convenience to the user is just incredibly valuable if it just knows it's me versus somebody else that's in my car or talking to my TV. You can think about it from that perspective. It should know if it's me or one of my kids, because if one of my kids asks for something that they shouldn't be watching, then it should be able to tell that without parental controls built into the remote or the TV or something like that.
Are there more conversations in the works where you can monetize the smart voices, where advertisers can be involved in the actual text coming back at you from your personal voice assistants?
Yeah, 100%. So today, as part of the Pandora solution, so we power Pandora's voice mode on their mobile phones. As I said, you can say, "Hey Pandora, play Jack Johnson radio or play Beyonce radio," whatever it is, it'll work. There's also voice ads that are a part of that solution as well. So, if you're a free Pandora user, every 1 to 5 songs, you'll hear an advertisement, and there's a set of ads that will come back that will be interactive. So they'll actually say, if you want more information about this, simply say yes, and we'll send information to your email on file. So then I could say yes, and then I'll get information in my email that's associated with my account. So that's kind of like the first step in a much broader effort towards monetization across both advertising as well as within food ordering and moving out into a number of other things. The critical thing from our perspective, though, is to do that in a way that's non-intrusive to the user. So you don't want a situation, sometimes you get so many banner ads in your browser, or you get so many recommendations within my Alexa to asking me if I want to reorder things or do this or do that. You don't want it to be a distraction or a detriment to the user. So we want to be able to influence monetizable moments that are really kind of consistent with what the user is doing. So if you think about it from a car perspective, if the user says, something like navigate home, or, man, I'm hungry, then it can say, hey, here's some pizza places on your way home that you can place your order with voice and you can pick it up. It'll be ready in 20 minutes and you can pick it up. Or, similarly on a TV, I say I want to watch the new James Bond movie. It could show a video ad that says, hey, if you want $5 off your pizza order, use your voice remote to order from your local pizza place, and we'll have it to you in 20 minutes or something like that. So this ability to do things that is consistent with what the user is doing without being intrusive or distracting is really kind of at the core of our monetization strategy.
It's literally it's the Jetsons in real life these days. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, because this is near and dear to my heart, but it doesn't give you voice back. It's the voice remote control for your TV, right? So when we were kids, we were the remote controls for our parents, right? Change the channel, get up and change the channel. You had to physically change it. The remote came out, but that wasn't good enough for the lazy couch potatoes like myself. We actually now don't even have to think about it. You hit that little microphone and say, give me Bravo TV, and it changes the channel. Now, the voice, like I said, there's no voice that comes back at you, but is that the same technology being used in those remotes?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it can do everything from kind of that simple thing like change to Bravo TV to much more complex things of, record the next episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and it will automatically set that up. Or, again, change to HDMI 1, play Stranger Things on Netflix, or, any number of different things. And you can be very complex, too. So I could say, show me James Bond movies that starred, Sean Connery, and give a list of them back. They can show me all of the different ones, where I can see them, if they're on, Prime or Netflix or Hulu or other areas for me to either watch because I'm subscribed, or to rent, through whatever service I might want to do so.
If you ask for James Bond with George Lazenby, I don't know if any voice activator will remember him, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Listen, the technology is changing so fast and developing so quickly. Where do you see SoundHound going next? And is there a point where we get to a spot where, okay, well, this is our ceiling, or is there just no ceiling on this technology that we're going to see in the very near future?
Yeah, I mean, we like to think that there's not really a ceiling. If you think about the number of people and smartphones in the world, you're at whatever 7 to 8 billion people in the world. But then you think about the number of IoT devices that are projected to be connected to the cloud by 2025, and it's something like 75 billion. So 10 times the amount of people there will be connected devices, and the majority of those are not going to have a touch screen or something that you can swipe or type onto. The really only way they'll be able to connect will be through voice. If it has just a simple microphone, the ability to connect with those and to ask those devices to do something is really exciting for us. That's where we see this massive growth potential across all sorts of services and devices out there. And we really think that, there's this experience that everybody has or is familiar with, or a lot of people are familiar with your Alexa devices or your Siri or your Google Assistant devices. And they've worked really well. They do a lot of things well. But we also think that the ability to have kind of the customer talk to all of the devices and have very specific interactions with those devices. So, if I want to change my thermostat, it's inconvenient to have to go through my Echo device to ask my thermostat to change temperature. Why can't I just talk to the thermostat? Why can't I just tell my oven turn on to 400 degrees? Why, and that's the market. That's the area we think we're going to be moving into. Is people are going to want to have those conversations, but they're going to have specific interactions with those devices that are specific to that functionality that is providing to the consumer.
Right. It's like trying to talk to your wife through your kids, Darin. It doesn't come out the right way. Listen, before we go, as a guy who's right there on the front lines of this, everything being invented and this technology, when you see prototypes these days for things that have already come out, are you even amazed by it sometimes now? Where you're like, geez, this thing is unbelievable. I can't even believe we have this right now. This is the consumers are going to love this thing.
Yeah, it's a great question. It kind of comes back to the one that just seems to really resonate the most with our customer base and the prospects we're talking to is this drive-through ordering experience, because, or maybe even food ordering in general.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it that most people, when they pull up to the drive-through and they see it's a voice assistant, most people, but some people kind of freeze up like, oh, what am I supposed to say to this? And once we can get the users to recognize they can order just like they're talking to a person,
Right.
And it's going to respond. It's going to give them all of the items, it's going to show everything, their customization, multiple items, make corrections, add new things on, all of those things, and it's going to work. They're blown away. And that it's still amazing. We talk about it a lot that when we see these things working, even those of us that are in the business, sometimes we have to take a step back and go, man, that's really amazing that it works so well and provides such a level of convenience and usability for the customer that it's just something that is a little bit mind-blowing at times. And we have to force ourselves at times, even in this business, to take a step back and realize what an amazing thing that we are creating here and how amazing the technology is and how far it's come from where it was, not even 20 years ago, but even 5 years ago. It's made just leaps and bounds of progress since then.
Listen, just the fact that we're able to pause live TV to go get a snack and come back, that still blows me away. Like I said, I still yell at my kids when we watch Stranger Things. I'm like, you know how good you have it? My father used to make me get up and change the channel. All in the Family's over. You got to change the channel.
Exactly.
Darin Clark, Director of Business Development for SoundHound. Darin, this has been absolutely fantastic. So much great information, so interesting. And I'm sure in another 6 months, we're probably going to have 15 other things to talk about that come out in that time period. But listen, I thank you very much for spending a little time with us. Is there anything before you go, any little nugget of information you can give us, anything that might be coming out in the near future that we might be interested in?
Well, I mean, as a company, SoundHound, we actually just went public almost exactly a month and a couple days ago. So
Nice.
That really limits the ability of me to talk about anything that might be coming. But we continue to have exciting conversations, and we're continuing to develop exciting products with new customers and existing customers, rolling out new features and functionality. So I think the best is definitely yet to come from SoundHound, and we're just so excited about the future.
Beautiful. Darin Clark, thank you so much, my friend. Just an absolute pleasure to spend some time with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And you have a great rest of your day.
That's all the time we have today on the Infrastructors. Join us next time for our conversation with former Baltimore mayoral candidate and Anne Arundel County Police Commander T.J. Smith.